Brawlers, baby.
All right, here, man. We on. What's up, boxing fans? This is your boy Rick Mohamed, Brawlers Sports Media in the building. This is the Brawlers Sports Boxing Show. Hey, I got my main man doing this podcast with me tonight. My son, Govanti, a.k.a. G-Money Mohammed, is in the building with me to discuss a couple of topics tonight we want to bring you guys up to speed on and keep you abreast. And remember, Brawlers keep you guys in the know about current upcoming prospects as well as all the elite fighters that's already on that platform, if you will. So what's up, son? Welcome, man. It's your first one here. Also, son has just been added as writer and new author to Brawler Sports Media, and he's been killing it, doing a hell of a job. So let's just jump right in, man. So hey, I want to start off with the footage that I posted about Deontay Wilder doing some working out, hitting the mitt, working on upper lateral movement, side to side, head movement, things we've never seen him do before in none of his fights, if you will. And he looked pretty quick doing it, slipping, catching and shooting. What you think?
I think it's good, man. I think he should have been doing that. But like the old saying goes, you can't teach your old dog new tricks. That's kind of what I feel. I feel it's a little late to be doing that. And I think when he does fight again, he's going to revert back to his old ways and just looking for his right hand. Hopefully it helps, but I kind of feel like when things get tough, he's going to do what he knows, and that's just look for that one shot.
Yeah, when you're trying to make those corrections in the gym, it looks good rehearsed, and he looked good doing it. He looked good doing it. If he can perfect it and stick with it and do it in his next fight, and I mean do it throughout the fight, I think he's going to have some hell of a good fortune moving forward with what's left of his career before he retires. If he can maintain and do it and keep doing it in the fight, I think he's going to show the fans like, hey, I can do this.
I totally agree. And I mean, let's not forget, Wilder is an Olympian. So, he has that amateur pedigree and background. So he knows how to box a little bit, It's just he hasn't shown it much in his professional career. But I agree. He looked really sharp, and it looked like his skills improved. But like you said, I mean, anybody could look good on the mitts if they don't hit back.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other topics we want to talk about too. Man, it's just if you want to be the best, you got to fight the best. And every time we hear a decent superstar-studded fight coming up, it always backfires. For instance, we thought we was gonna get Earl and Bud, and then we thought we was gonna get Bud and Pacquiao. That fight's not gonna happen now because Bob Arum put out, and I posted this as well on Brawler's page, that there's some money woes between the two. So I'm sure, Bud is like, hey, I'm not going to back down. I want my percentage. I want a 60-40, which, Bud, don't get me wrong, he deserves to be paid, but I don't think he can command or demand more than what Pacquiao, because Pacquiao has proven that he can carry a pay-per-view event and draw millions of pay-per-view home purchases, where we know Bud Crawford tried that with Postal, I believe the fight. His one pay-per-view fight was like a flop, pretty much. No disrespect, but that's part of the promoter's part, is to promote and build his fighter.
Yeah.
So we may not see Pacquiao and Bud Crawford, but now they're saying Virgil Ortiz, another Thundercat, a smoking gun, young prospect. He's hungry. He's dominating in the ring. He's taking the torch from Sean Porter now. And he stole that mandatory with the WBO. Now they're saying it's going to be Bud Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz. But I feel like Virgil is the future, but just not right as of yet. I don't think he's ready for the caliber fighter that Terrence Bud Crawford is. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I mean, Virgil Ortiz, him, guys like Jerome Boots Ennis, they're up and coming, and they are the future of boxing. But I kind of feel like even though that's Bud's mandatory, at this point in his career, it's kind of like taking a step back, because that's not the fight at this point in his career that he needs, I feel. I think he needs a name like Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Pacquiao, Errol Spence. I think those are the fights he needs at this stage. But I would give him respect if he fights Virgil Ortiz, because I mean, who's calling to fight Virgil Ortiz or Duran Butenis at this point? You know,
Nobody. And here's the other thing. Hey, let's not forget. I myself, and you know, we had this bet. I didn't really think Teofimo was ready for
that's right, for Lomachenko.
I didn't think he was ready for Lomachenko, but he stood up to the test. Hey, no matter what percentage of health Lomachenko was in, Teofimo came. He called him out, took him on the carpet, and danced with him and served him and won.
And that's a great analogy for Virgil and Crawford. Actually, it's very similar. You know, you got a young upcoming guy, and if he goes out there and does it, it will be just like what Teofimo did
against a superstar like Lomachenko and like Teofimo did. Hey, these young guys, they're the future of boxing. That's why I say they're taking over the torches, man. And it's like they're not afraid to call these elite fighters out on these platforms. They're like, hey, I want Bud, I want Spence, I want Pacquiao. They're doing it, and I respect them for that. And they bring no fear to the ring. That's how you know they're gonna bring a hell of a performance when the bell rings.
Right. And I think you know what I think should happen. I think Virgil Ortiz and Duran Ennis should fight each other, and then that'll make it easier for them to get the big fight with Errol Spence or Bud Crawford.
Woo.
Something like that should happen. I think
that would be a good fight. That's entertaining to watch as
well. Two of the best upcomers in welterweight division. Let's see what happens. And then the winner of that, I mean, you can't argue. Like, give them the fight. They deserve it. They earned it.
Absolutely. And you know, we got other stuff like Bob Arum, Top Rank. You know, I'm always letting the fans know, keeping them abreast to all the news that's coming out about these top fights and mega fights. Anthony AJ Joshua versus the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. They said that was a done deal. That was a signed ink deal by both fighters with 2 fights, you know, a rematch guaranteed as well. And now they're saying Eddie Hearns and Anthony Joshua, whatever it is, they feel like it's happening now, that they're kind of shying away from the deal. And Fury's like, hey, you know, I don't have time for this shit. And whatever happens, I'm going to fight somebody in June. And that's what Bob Arum is saying. Hey, looks like we're leaning towards that third Wilder Fury fight after all, because of the games that they feel Eddie Hearns, as you know, he promotes Anthony Joshua, Matchroom Boxing. And that's what they're saying now. Top Rank and Team Fury is saying, hey, we're looking at just a Wilder 3 right now at this point. I mean, I don't understand these handlers and the promoters and the fighters. The fighters can say they want to fight each other all they want. At the end of the day, if it don't make good money sense to the promoters and the handlers that's fronting the money and the purse bid and the site venue, that's just all hearsay. Y'all can talk as much as you want, like Bud and Spence was doing.
Right.
But if your folks don't come together, that fight would never happen.
You know what I think about that situation is, like, we don't know what's going on in the back scenes of this fight, because what I do know is that they were under contract for Fury and Wilder for a rematch clause for the trilogy.
Guaranteed rematch. It was supposed to have been the next fight out.
Exactly.
Guaranteed rematch.
And I'm sure Wilder has had some say into this going on, and he's probably like, you know, no, I'm next in line because we have a rematch clause for this trilogy. So he could put a halt to this Joshua Fury if he wanted to, assuming that, you know, that rematch clause is in effect still.
And I think you may be right. I think he may have exercised that and did a quarter, you know, with the WBC and say, hey, I want my belt back. I want my strap.
Right.
I'm the man. I'm the next guaranteed rematch.
Right.
For the initial contract and the clause in that contract, I was the next one up for the third fight.
Right.
Win, lose, or draw. We had a contract for a rematch clause.
And they got to honor that if that's the case.
And that was the case. And then Bob Arum was saying, hey, damn the case. We're going to step over that case.
Yeah.
And we're going to move forward to Anthony Joshua and let the 2 Brits do their thing. Don't get me wrong now. That would be a mega super heavyweight fight.
Yeah, that's what we want to see, but
they wouldn't even have enough room to do that at Wimbledon.
Right.
They'd have to definitely take that somewhere to like Dubai, you know, to get the money that this fight would generate.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so and then, you know, what else you got on the table? What fights do you want to see be made? And, you know, where are you at with boxing right now, son?
I mean, with the pandemic, I think a lot of the big fights we want to see is going to get hard to get made because they want full capacity, I think, for these fights that we really want to see. But, I mean, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, that's the biggest heavyweight fight to make. So if that can get made, maybe it can open the door for Bud and Errol Spence to get that fight made. Because that's the biggest fight in boxing to get made right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Jamil Herring, the Marine, he just went over there and beat Carl Frampton in Dubai.
Right.
And now I believe Oscar Vasquez is going to be his. That's supposed to be his next upcoming fight. That's going to be a good fight. I think that fight is tailor made for Herring because the way Oscar is a straightforward, he's one dimensional and he comes straightforward. That's just how Jamil Herring likes it.
Right.
He'll just stand there and shoot angles and catch and shoot, counter punch all night long.
I agree, but I think if Jamel Herring were to fight Oscar Valdez, I'd actually think I might have to lean Oscar Valdez because I think that his pressure might be a bit too much for Jamel. I think so. I think it could be a bit too much. And Jamel Herring, I believe Shakur Stevenson is his mandatory, and he's been trying to exercise that right to fight Jamel Herring. So we got to see what happens with that. Jamel Herring versus Shakur Stevenson. Because
that's another big fight.
That's his mandatory right now. So.
And then so we got Tyson Fury possible 3. Joshua Fury doesn't look like it's gonna happen. And here's the other thing. Let's talk about the Truth Spence. Just the accident and coming back and all of these things. Now, when Earl Spence, the Truth, was asked, what about Pac-Man? This sounds like the Pacquiao fight was a fight that was on the table that he could have potentially had over fighting your Dennis Ugas.
Right.
And he said, I'm not thinking about Pacquiao. My focus is on Ugas right now. I'm like, damn, Ugas don't bring nothing to the table. You can't do anything for your career. I mean, the fight with you and Pacquiao would be a cash cow.
Right.
Why would you want that fight over your Dennis?
Right. I don't understand that because that's the fight that Spence has wanted all this time. So I don't know why he's saying no to that fight. That's the fight that makes the most sense for him right now. If you can't get Bud.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a hard fight to make because they're both handled by yours truly, my main man, Big Al. Big Al, right. BBC. Yeah. Al's got both of them, and he's like, "Hey, what do you guys want to do? Let's do it."
Right.
And that would be a huge pay-per-view event.
It would.
I mean, so I was kind of confused to hear Spence say that. Maybe he feels like, okay, this is going to just be my second fight back since that fatal accident. I feel like I would need a little more time to continue to polish and sharpen up and see, how I really feel. Maybe another fight or two before I take the likes of a Pac-Man because that's going to be a hell of a busy, explosive, fast-paced fight for them.
Right. I think probably the only thing I could think of as to why he's going to fight Ugas next is to get that belt. And I think he's trying to collect all these belts. That way he has the upper hand in negotiations for when him and Bud do decide to fight.
And he has 70-30.
Yeah, because, I mean, and that's not going to happen. No matter how many belts you have, you can't.
That outrageous number. Another thing is, if you feel like you're better than me and I feel like I'm better than you, but I'm willing to bend and say, oh, you know what? We can do a 50-50 or I do you a 60-40. I feel like Bud should take a 60-40 if you know for a fact you feel like you're better than Spence. Take that fight, beat him. Now the ball falls in your court for the rematch. Now you write your own paycheck.
Right. I totally agree, man. And I just think that at some point those two got to say, you guys are going to get good money anyway, regardless.
Front and back end, because it's going to be pay-per-view.
Right. So, Bud, you can't keep saying I'm the best welterweight. Errol can't keep saying I'm the best welterweight. You guys are in the same weight class. It's got to happen. And it can't be the story of Mayweather-Pacquiao where we get it 6 years from now.
5-6 years later.
When
everybody's ready to walk off into the sunset and enjoy retirement.
And they're both old and out of their prime, and it's a dud.
But, I feel like Spence feels like on the money side of things, simply because he's proven his track record with pay-per-view, with the Mikey Garcia fight, that he's going to be the draw, the sell, not you, Bud, because you don't have that pay-per-view following like I do. So if I'm the one selling the tickets, selling the pay-per-view homes, I'm drawing all the revenue in. Why should I cut my own, bite my nose to spite my face
Right.
and not get paid for me and my family when I'm the one that's putting in the work to make sure these ticket sales are what they are at the end of the night?
And that is a fact. Spence is the bigger draw for pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
But I just think 70-30, I think that's disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. It is disrespectful because it's not like Bud hasn't done anything. I mean,
Right, he's the pound for pound
he
number one
at
on,
140. He came running at 147, and look what happened. Danny Garcia got the hell out of 140 quick and ran into 147. You're
Right,
like, oh
right.
hell no, I don't want no parts of no Buddy Bud. So hey, I mean, it ain't like this guy, like he says, hey, Spence ain't the boogeyman. It appears that I'm the boogeyman at 147.
Right.
And here's the other thing. I wish Spence and Bud, whoever, they need to acknowledge Gerard Boots Ennis and give him his shot. And if y'all, I don't say scared, but whatever the reason is holding y'all back because you feel like he's a risk, you got everything to lose and he's got everything to gain. And that's pretty much how boxing works anyway.
Yeah.
That's the shit.
Right.
Give him his shot. He's earned it. He's 26-0, 24 knockouts, 25 knockouts, whatever the case may be. I feel like Boots isn't going to get his just due or his shot at the title unless he becomes one of their mandatories, and then they can't run.
100%. That fight will never happen unless he's a mandatory because, I mean, they really have nothing to gain from that. I mean, they'll get respect for beating them, but I think they think it's too much of a risk. High risk, low reward fighting Boots,
But what happened to, like, high risk, low reward? What happened to the Ray Leonards and the Haglers and the Duran days? That shit did not matter.
I agree.
I'm the best. You say you the best. You know what? I'm gonna punch you in your damn mouth. Let's do this. We fight.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, when fighters said words to each other like that, and they agreed to fight one another, like we saw Spence and Bud backstage at an event, to fight. This was different back then. These fighters told their promoters, "Hey, get me this fight with Hagler. Get me this fight with Hearns. Get me this damn fight." He said he better than me. That's BS. Let's make this fight happen.
This day, like when you see fighters going back and forth saying like, I'll fight you, bickering, it's all smoke and mirrors. Because like you said earlier, it's up to the promoter at this stage.
Absolutely. What do
you know what I mean?
What do you feel about did I cut you off or was you gonna say something?
No. Go ahead.
What do you feel about Floyd's the best ever that did it as far as making the money and everything. Is it really necessary if you want to fight that much to come out of retirement? Wouldn't you want to come back and fight in your craft and then fight the next best welterweight that's out there right now, where you left off on the throne and pass the torch and come back and fight fighters, boxers, not YouTubers,
right?
Because you can draw the money and make $500 million. I mean, what do you think about that, man? That Floyd goes away, Floyd comes back, and then he doesn't come back and fight anybody in his craft. He comes back and he wants to do the exhibition style or the MMA thing with these YouTubers or whatever. I don't know.
Well, what I think about it, man, is like we all know Floyd's just doing this for a money grab. He doesn't want to fight no real boxers. He's not interested at all. And I mean, some people don't like the YouTuber thing. Some people do because they think it brings a bigger following to boxing. But I kind of think that it makes boxing look like a joke now. You know what I mean?
I feel the same way.
Because you got these YouTubers that are fighting on main events of a main boxing card, getting paid more than boxers who dedicated their life to this.
Absolutely.
And then they don't have the skills like that. They don't know boxing, and they're having major cards on the Zone and Triller.
But they got 1.2 million followers or 2 million followers, and they like shit. They're entitled to fight.
It's about the money.
It's about the money. And here's the thing about the okay. And you know what? Don't get me wrong. I kind of love the Triller model.
Oh yeah, I agree. I like it, but
I like this entertainment / commentating / very, a very powerful show with a big card. And I think the only way that we may get, a Bud Crawford Spence or something like that Triller come on board and get involved. My man Ryan Kavanaugh, founder of Triller, he'll make it happen. Look what they've done for Teofimo. They offered Teofimo $4 million to fight Cabasa coming up.
I think that if like for example,
and he gave Cabasa so much of his money too to say, okay, you wanted a couple of more 100,000. Here you go. I'm gonna give you something for my 4 million, because Bob Arum hasn't given him nowhere near a $2 million purse.
Right.
So Triller came in, and that's what pissed Bob Arum off. He was hot that Eddie Hearns jumped in with a purse bid, and then Triller jumps in with their purse bid. And Timo's a businessman. He's like, hell, let me see. 1.2 million or 4 million. Shit, do the math.
What do you think happens with Teofimo moving forward after this fight? Do you think he goes back to top rank, or does he sit out and wait till, like, what does he do?
I think Teofimo, I think Floyd Mayweather has drawn the blueprint for Bob Arum and top rank. If you want to excel and exceed a lot, and make the money that you deserve, because at the end of the day, when boxing is all said and done, there's life after boxing. How are you going to maximize your revenue and you have your capital and liquid cash in hand when you retire and walk away?
Right.
Walk away. If you're going to do that, then you got to take charge of your career and make that money move.
Right.
If you're not going to buy your way out and promote yourself like Floyd did, I don't know if he has that talent to do. It's doable, but he could. Or you never know. Triller may get into business like Natural Boxing, and Eddie Hearns came to the U.S. and start buying up all kind of fighters.
Yeah,
they got plenty of money. Triller may come in and say, you know what? I'm interested in having a Triller stable.
Right, just like Natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
and
see
then
that.
you got my nephew Snoop Dogg, Big Snoop Dogg. I would take doing his little performance of cameo, collage of song melodies, if you will, of songs. And it's entertaining. It's like a little mini concert /
boxing event.
Some brutal boxing.
Right, I agree. I like Triller.
That's where we're at with boxing, guys. And it's all a business, And I hate to use that term because I get sick of hearing it when the fighters end up letting all the fans down and the fight doesn't happen. But they done got you all hyped up. And then the promoters, they slide a little piece in there like, yeah, we're working on this. It's going to happen. And then all of a sudden it just falls out of the sky. And it's like, we're not going to get these fights that we really been hoping and waiting to see. But this, boxing is a business now. More so back in the day, it was a business as well in the 80s and 90s, Leonard and Hearns era, Pryor and all those guys, Ali and them. It was a business then. But it seemed like they were more willing to negotiate amongst one another to give the fans what they wanted.
Yeah, it seemed back then.
Have a medium on the money side.
Right, yeah. Yeah, back then it seemed like they wanted to really prove they were the best. Money, I mean, of course the money came with it, Sugar Ray Leonard, but they really wanted to prove who was the best back in that era. And that's what they need to do now. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, in closing, we're gonna close this out because we're a week a day tomorrow from another big fight. Yeah. Canelo Alvarez takes on Billy Joe Sanders in the super middleweight division, and that's next Saturday night at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys, if you will. And I'm gonna say this, and I've always said this since Canelo lost to Floyd, he learned a lot. Floyd taught him a lot, and he stepped his game up so much since that loss, bro. He's the slickest, sweetest boxing Mexican ever right now.
No doubt about that.
But he's fighting another slick boxer with the superb footwork and hand speed of Billy Joe Sanders. I'm just not buying it. I'm Canelo all the way on this. What's your thoughts? I know styles make fights, so speak on it, son.
I'm one of the rare people, man, but I'm going to say this. Do not sleep on Billy Joe. Do not sleep on this man. He's got tremendous boxing skills. And a lot of people, they go back to his last few fights. He didn't look too impressive. But Billy Joe is the kind of fighter that rises to the occasion. When he has a big fight and a big threat, he shows up, just like he did versus David Lemieux. He gave him a complete boxing lesson. And David Lemieux is a very heavy hitter. He was one of the strongest dudes at 160, knocking everybody out. And he literally just gave him a complete boxing lesson. And his defense is tremendous. So do I think he's the favorite? Absolutely not. Canelo is my number one pound for pound too. But I just think that Billy Joe does have a chance. So don't write him off too soon.
What do you think some of Canelo's challenges may be against the likes of Billy Joe Sanders on next Saturday night?
Well, like you said, I mean, everybody could say go back to the Floyd Mayweather fight, but he was young and he's improved so much since then. You know, like he's a totally different fighter, so much greater than he was then. But Canelo, I think his flaw is he has slow feet, and his feet are always planted. And Billy Joe is never a stationary target. And we've seen everybody that Canelo's fought that he's had trouble with, what kind of style did they have? They had good footwork, good movement, and were slick. Floyd Mayweather, Arislandi Lara, and I would put Trout in there, but I mean, he wasn't really slick like Billy Joe and Arislandi and Floyd, but he was a southpaw, and he gave him a little trouble early on.
Yeah.
But I just think that Billy Joe's movement, we will see if Canelo is improved on that, fighting a mover. Will he be able to cut off the ring, or will Billy Joe's footwork, give him trouble?
I think Canelo does pretty good cutting that ring off, and the reason he seems to be flat-footed is because he slips and bobs and weaves so good, get underneath those punches and shoots from angles because he likes to sit down on his punches. That's why his footing is the way it is. So when he delivers his punches, he's delivering a lot of damaging blows to you, and he's going to cut that ring off at some point and back Billy Joe up against the ropes and start digging in that body, and then he's going to bring it back up top. And then we're going to see what kind of chin Billy Joe Sanders has.
I think that's my
we haven't really seen what kind of chin Canelo has either, because he doesn't really let anybody catch him clean like that. It's always the punch you don't see that's going to hurt you. So,
yeah, I mean, you make good points there, but Canelo, everybody he's been fighting lately, they're come forward fighters, and that's not Billy Joe. You know what I mean? So that's why he's stationary and slipping, because they're coming forward or he's coming forward at them. But when he's moving and that great footwork he has, I just want to see what Canelo's going to do to stop that. But I agree. I mean, if he cuts off the ring, I see him going to Billy Joe's body a lot when he can. So it'll be telling to see how he's improved as far as fighting a slick mover,
Yeah, absolutely. I think this fight has the potential to be fight of the year. It depends on the outcome of this fight. And lo and behold, if it's an upset, it probably will be the fight of the year.
I'm going to go like this. I think Canelo's going to win a controversial decision.
That's close to a fight? Controversial.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll win, but I think it'll be, it'll be close, I think. That's my final pick.
All right, y'all heard it from my man G Money. He said his final pick, controversial win on behalf of Canelo. I say, I'm going to say it's going to be a stoppage late. A stoppage late, or, if Billy Joe Sanders cooperates, it could be a stoppage early. But we are looking for a good fight. We definitely don't want one of those 90-second Mike Tyson, Michael Spinks fights where
get
up and go to the bathroom and come back and it's over.
Yeah, hopefully not. Right.
It'd be bad as hell. Well, I think that this about does it for tonight, boxing fans. Every Tuesdays and Fridays, we'll be on doing these podcasts, me and my main man, G Money, and break it down for you. Also, keep checking out our articles that we're doing, keeping you guys updated on all the information that's coming out for all the fighters, up and coming prospects, as well as the superstars. We're going to keep you abreast and let you know what's happening around in the boxing world. So that's it for tonight. I want to thank my son in his first debut with me on screen, and his debut on all the articles he's been writing too. If you look at the top of them when you open them, it'll say article by Rick Mohamed. That's him. So, hey, man, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on here doing this with me, son.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I
love and appreciate you, man. And that's it for now, boxing fans. This is your boy Rick Mohamed, Brawlers Sports Media in the building. This is the Brawlers Sports Boxing Show. Let's not forget, we are not out of harm's way yet with the pandemic. If you're masking up, continue to do so. I don't care if you're vaccinated, not vaccinated, wear your mask and continue to social distance and keep your hands clean. Let's stay safe so we can stay alive. So until next time, let's go, champs.
Brawlers, baby.